Hello, in this video we're going to talk about how to take COGO points and create custom attributes for them. Here is an example of a raw out of the box, so to speak, COGO point. It's pretty boring. It's the standard X that you get. You do have some areas to put a raw description in here, so you do have some ability to add a few of your own attributes. But as you get more advanced, you will probably find, especially if you're importing COGO points, that already have a lot of information associated with them, then this is the way to go. And we'll discuss a little bit further in the discussion here why really using COGO points is the way to go, as opposed to just importing blocks, shapefile blocks, and things like that. You just get a lot more leverage. So here's an out of the box COGO point right here. Here is what we're going to end up with right here. So this is where I want to get you by the end of this video. So we have instead of the X, we have a block with a little house, because that's what we're talking about. We've got an address field that we've imported, so we're going to talk about importing from a CSV Excel file the addresses, and also with the information that was associated from the customer. We had a feed pedestal, so where is this house fed from, and the area from which this home is at. And so if we look over here, you can see we've built a whole new category called subscribers. We have the address in here. Let me get this. Yep. We have the address in here, and we have the area and the pedestal. So that's what we're going to do. So let's start from square one. So let's begin with talking about the data that we're going to bring in. This is just a regular comma separated value spreadsheet out of Excel. Right off the bat, just so I don't forget to mention this a little bit later on, you cannot have headings because the headers will throw off the import function. So you got to kind of know your data a little bit ahead of time, so it makes sense to you. But this is just a point number that I put in. So I complemented the customer data and added a point number. I took the address. These are, and so the way that AutoCAD or Civil 3D is going to bring it in is by using your points. So you have your northing and easting points right here. So these are important. You got to have these, or you're not going to get anywhere, because this is going to eat your point location. Then you can have any, really, this is up to you. Your address, your area, and your this is pedestal number for me, but this could be anything for you. This is just what I'm using for an example. Okay, so here we are over in the Civil 3D. The first thing that we have to do before we can import the points is we have to create the custom attributes. We have to tell Civil 3D what to expect. So that is under the user-defined properties classification underneath points. So you see there's nothing in here right now, so we'll just double right click and hit new, and then classification name. And so this is where we're going to classify a set of points. So we only need to do, so this will have to do with what we call homes, or I call them subscribers. But you may have, and then within that homes, we'll have the address, the pedestal that feeds it, and the area that it's in. So we'll put our 3 in here. But then we could come along later and create a whole another classification type, and maybe it would be handholds. And then within that handholds classification, we would have, 18 by 20 and 10 by 20 and different size handholds. and then maybe you'd have another one for road crossings or something. So you could just go on and on. It's just a kind of like creating folders to create your points holders for your custom points. So anyways, what we need to do is I'll just call this subscribers. This will be my folder, kind of virtual folder for subscriber stuff. So now that I've created that, now I go back under that and I say new. And here's where we start putting stuff in. So if you remember, we had one that said address. Just address. You can put more information here, but it's pretty self-explanatory what we're doing. The big thing is here is the string. So you can take all kinds of data types. Probably you're just going to want to roll with string. And really, that's all you got to do. So as soon as you put an address, just hit OK. And you see you've added address. The next thing we were going to do is put pedestal. Pedestal. And then leave everything else the same. Oh, there is this default value, and sometimes it is nice to actually put something in there. So something shows up. So ped number, something like that. Okay. And then we had the area was the other one. So we'll say new, and then we'll say area, and then we can just say area name. Okay. Now that we have told AutoCAD to expect these points, now we can go ahead and start importing those points that we looked at in the Excel CSV spreadsheet. And so to import the points, we're going to say under the Insert tab, we'll say Points from File, and then we'll load that up and brings up this import. So we'll go ahead and bring on our points file. But there's a problem when we go to load in that CSV file that we looked at, the Excel spreadsheet. We see we have this red X here. And that's because it's coming in a format that doesn't match any of the. So if you take this filter off like this, you can see. So you can grab. So it's trying to bring in. So it's kind of working, but it knows that it's not bringing in the right stuff. It's saying Easting. This doesn't make any sense to me. So it has all these different kinds. So it's the data is loading, but this one looks actually pretty close, but it's still not what we're looking for. So it's trying to bring things in. But what we need to do is create our own special custom. So we need to tell it exactly what we're looking for. So come over here and hit this one. It's going to bring up this dialog box. And what we're going to want to do is new, and then a user point database. Ooh, I'm sorry, it's user point file. So we'll just do this and OK. And so we're going to give an official new style, and we'll call it subscribers. And then the format is we had already done before. We knew is in comma separated values. It is delimited by a comma, thus then the name. That's pretty common for the CSV. Is a comma, obviously, instead of the name. So what you want to do now is we might even help to bring our spreadsheet back up. So what we want to do is create each one of these columns here to match our spreadsheet right here. So we'll go points, address, the easting, northing, and the area, and the this was the pedestal. So that's what we need to do here. So I'll drag that off, and so we know this one is points, and so that is an official thing that is listed in here, a point number. So all these need to match your data. So the point number is that's so all these have to be kind of official things that AutoCAD understands or Civil 3D. So that puts the number there. And then the next one was the address. The address will be in here because we added it. So that was why it was important to do it ahead of time. So there we go, address. And then the next thing is the northing and easting. So as you see here, you gotta know, make sure that you don't get your easting and your northing, and so you gotta kind of know just by looking at these numbers or have a familiarity that this one's going to be northing and this one, because if you get them flip-flopped, you're going to be out in an ocean somewhere. So we know to tell it that the first set is going to be northing and the second one is easting. So that's what we'll do here. We'll see. We'll come down here and find where it says the northing and the easting, which is right at the top. So we have northing and precision 4. That looks good. And then we'll have easting. There we go. And then we had this one was going to be the area. And once again, we put that in there already, so it's sitting there waiting for us. And then the last one we had was pedestal. There. And now we've created our own custom AutoCAD. And now we have our green happy check mark. It already knew, it was smart enough to detect of all these that were filtered. It knew that this one was the one that fit our data. So now we can go ahead and import our points. So we'll just hit OK. And then it's importing. And you'll see that we look at our points, groups, all points, and we're showing points here, but strangely, we're not seeing points on our map at all. Not seeing anything kind of showing up here in the area that I thought they were going to be at. You can try p-type, and this will bring it, because a lot of times it's going to try to bring it in as a teeny tiny little point. You won't be able to see it. So you could try this, okay, but we're still not seeing them. So maybe we made a tiny little mistake when we were importing them, and this was just to kind of show you what happens when you get these flipped around. So this is actually supposed to be northing, and this is supposed to be easting. So that's where the trouble lies. So just to show you, when you do that, they're not going to end up where you want them to be. In fact, we can zoom to, see, there we go. So we found it, and here they all are, and they are someplace that I have no idea. It's even off of my geo map. Okay, so it's not that far away, but so it ended up if we're up by the Michigan-Wisconsin border. I don't know, this might be over in Washington, D.C. or something for all I know. So no biggie if you had that problem. You can switch things around, or if you want to see where they ended up, just click on it, right click, and then zoom to. It'll take you over to one of the points, and then you'll have to zoom out quite a bit, and then you'll start to get, oh, there's all my points right there. And they're not where I want them to be. So let's just go back and double check and get those things, tell AutoCAD what we want to do. And so what I would recommend to walk that back is get in the Prospector tab. That's going to let you look at all your points. We haven't created any points group, so we're going to look at all points, select in there, and then hit Control A. That'll select them all, and then just go ahead and get rid of them. That's the quickest way to try it, instead of trying to straighten things out another way. So that gets rid of our points. That gets us back to square one at least. So let's straighten out that subscriber file. So we'll come up to points, and then it'll bring up this, the format. So we'll come over to here and come down and find subscribers, do modify. And then all we need to do is just change this to easting. It should be, yeah, that was the top of it. So you have to kind of trick AutoCAD a little bit. So this one was it won't let you pick Easting over here because I did have Easting. So I changed Easting to point elevation real quick, and then I can come over here, and now it will let me choose Easting. So you just got to play a little game with it, and then come over here and make this guy northing. And we're all set for there. And then okay. And then we'll say close on this one and go ahead and bring in that CSV file that we created. And there we go. And now we have the northing and the easting. Kind of a quick parity check. The easting, at least in the area I'm at, is going to be the higher number. The northing is the lower number. That may vary for other places. So now let's go ahead and see what happens when we try to import those. Okay, we get our points, and look, we got all kinds of little red X's here. Sometimes it's hard to see with the base map. In fact, sometimes if you do like a square, you can see them kind of go like that, and that gives you, at least you can see that they're there. Not ideal for doing any kind of production work, but at least it gives you a sense that they're there. And then you also see them populate down here in your points table. And moving forward, I think I'm just going to go ahead and turn off that base map. It helps so we can see a little better anyway. So still can't see them very good, but we're about ready to solve that problem pretty quick anyways. Make those stand out a little bit better from the tiny little X's that they are. So first thing we need to do is to create a point group. And so kind of expanding on the whole idea of why we're doing this. So we're going to create a point group for subscribers. So if you were continuing on in this method for this telecom design, then you would probably want to create a point group once you start placing your pedestals. And then maybe a point group for when you do handholds, and then maybe a point group for some other thing. So it's just this continual way of more and more organizing, keeping your points organized, and which once you start getting into large scale drawings becomes very important. And it also gives you a way to report back out those points to your client in a table format, quickly, and give them. So we'll be at, once we've already kind of started this idea of the table here, and this can be exported and given to a client quickly, and giving them information, and it can also be placed on the drawing as well. So this is kind of the reason why we're doing this. So let's go ahead and create that point group. Right now, we just have a group with all points, so you'll see in here. So I don't have other points to contrast this with, so you're gonna have to kind of imagine that we have lots of different. Maybe we have handholds in here, and maybe we have road crossings and bore points and many other points. So so right now the all points and the subscriber, they're going to be the same in the same point. I mean, they will be the same thing. So we'll just say new, and then that brings up this dialog box, and we'll give it a good name. So we'll call it subscriber points, and then we'll come over here, and this is the other, pretty much the other big thing that we want to do. So we want to figure out which points. Like I said, this one's going to be an easy one because it's going to be all the points. So there's lots of ways. So if you do have a drawing that's got all kinds of points, and you're like, oh, how am I going to? So you can. There's little ways you can kind of query out the points. For what we're doing here is select on the drawing, so it's easy. So we're just going to zoom out a bit and draw a big old rectangle. Oop, I didn't even draw it. Zoom out enough. So we'll zoom out like this, and See, we've got everybody selected there, and then just hit enter again, like that. And so we had 138 points, and so I grabbed them all. So that's pretty much. There's a lot of other things in here that you can do and play around with, but for just to get started, that's all we need to do. So we just need to tell it, give it the name, subscriber points, and then we're going to play with the styles here in a second, but let's at least get this loaded in, and then we're going to include points 1 through 38. Apply. Okay. So that gives us a subscriber point table, which I realize is the same as the all points, but trying to imagine that there's other points in here. It's different than this. So you notice right off the bat what happened is it assigned it kind of a default label. So right off the bat we got something. So it looks like it must have grabbed the. You come over here and you can see what this is, and that's a point number. So the default style that kind of came with AutoCAD is to label the point, give it the point number. And so what we're going to do, so we're going to create our own labels, because remember when we talked about this, so we're shooting for this. Right now all we have is this. So we'll get to fixing that up now. So first thing we're going to want to do is zero in on getting rid of this ugly X and bring in something better than that. And so that is a style. So that's done under here. So we have all these kind of out of the box styles we can use, and we could just grab those real quick, or we could come over here and look at it in the settings tab. So point styles, same idea. We have access to all of them here, so we can say new like this. So we're going to create a new style, but what I wanted to show you is that, so you do have all, if you see something you like in here, this just gives you a chance to look at them. You can also pick it over here once you find it, but I just wanted to have a chance to kind of see, you get all these little styles that are just come baked right into AutoCAD that you can use, and maybe you can find something in here that you like already. What we're going to do, and so these are just blocks, so there's nothing fancy behind the scenes about that. So I made a block. I made this. It's nothing fancy. I just took a little picture of a house and then just drew on top of it so I could get the scaling right. So we can go ahead and grab this block out of this drawing right here. So that's what I'm going to do. So if I were to do something like insert, and then I could find my house, grab my house, and just go ahead and let's see if I do it like that. Yeah, so it's fine. And so then I can just copy that guy, and if we can bring it over here, how about that one? So there's that, and he's a block. So now that we put this block in here, we don't even have to have it. We don't even want it there. So we just kind of inserted the block into the drawing, so it's there. So now we can go over here to point styles and do new, and use custom, or I'm sorry, use block. So we'll just, the name of that block was house. So these are sorted in alphabetical order. So I can just go like that, and it found the house. That's all you should need to do there. But we're creating a new point style, so we'll just call this home. At this point, I don't really think there's anything else that we need to mess with, so we can just say apply and OK. And so that loaded in. So now we've created a new style, and we want to apply it to all these points. So at this point, the easiest thing to do would be just to do this. Select them all, so they're all selected over here. You can say, so now when you change the style, it's going to change it for all of these at the same time. So we'll just hit home, and there we go. So now we have a little house. for everyone instead of that of the X. Now we didn't change the label, so the label is different. So that's this style. And sometimes it can be right when you get started. You think everything should change with just one setting, but AutoCAD's not like that. So they have to go through a whole another set of hoops to change the label. But at least we got the block in there. So now let's start zeroing in on those labels. And another thing I forgot to actually mention when we brought the blocks in. So notice that we did get so we have our own classification called subscribers in here. So this is something we created. You won't get this out of the box from from just an AutoCAD COGO point. So we built these in at the beginning. So I just wanted to show you that those are indeed there. Again, we're going to pull from these to create these labels right here. Now for the subscriber labels, I'm going to cheat a little bit, but hopefully it's just going to save some time. And also maybe give you a tip for what you might want to do once you get rolling. So we'll shoot over here to our this base drawing that we've been referring back to. We'll come over here and we will see that we're in the settings tab, and then we want to come over to points, and remember now we're talking about labels. And so once again, the Civil 3D comes with a bunch of different label sets, and that's how those had at least the point label. So, but here's one that I've subscribed, FTTH subscriber. So this is what we this is what we want to have over in our drawing that we just created. We can take a look at it. Just double click it, and it will open up. And so these are all of the settings. So I'm just going to kind of roll through instead of doing each one of these and slowly creating it and taking up a lot of time. I'm gonna show you from the one that's already created, and hopefully that saves time, and then it saves me from maybe forgetting something. So so you have the information. So when you create it, and so when you do go to create it, it's just you just do new, and then you can create it from here. But if you double click it, so you want to give it a name, and where you're going to hang out mostly is in this layout tab. And so whatever name you give it over here, that's so the next thing you're going to want to do is for each one of these labels is going to be a separate item in this little drop down. So this is another thing that hangs people up who are just starting out with these. So when you get yours, there'll be some kind of default in there, so that you'll probably want to get rid of it. And so, in fact, let's just do this. We're gonna have to have a little foot in both sides. I can see here. So if you create a new one, it's got the name layout. So you'll be like this, and so it's already got some stuff in here. And you might be able to just use it. The other thing is these are, even though this isn't the information you want, at least it is spaced the way you want it. So you may just want to use what's here and just change. So we have point number, and they have an elevation, and they have a description. So this is kind of an out of the box. I believe it should be in any version of AutoCAD. You're just going to get this. And that's actually pretty nice, because a lot of it, so you won't have to worry about your anchor and anything. So all you'll have to do is change the content. So when you want to change the content, you just come to here and click in it, and you'll get this little tree thing, and then you'll get this. And then what you'll want to do is go ahead and erase that. So you just highlight it, erase it, that gets rid of it. So this is just grabbing. So what this is grabbing any of the attributes that are over here that we can't see, and I can't move my windows because I'm in active windows, but those were what we looked at over here. So we had point numbers, we had everything we had, and one of them was address. So we just hit address, and so it's going to it's going to know to bring in whatever was in that address box, that attribute, and bring it in. Well, another thing that you have to do, and this is important, another thing that hangs people up at the beginning, is you got to load it over. So there you go. So that's what you got to do, is actually hit this little arrow and kick it over, because if you don't do that, you're gonna run into trouble. It's not gonna work. So, and then you can format it, and you can play around and do all kinds of fun stuff. You grab different fonts and things like that. So that'll be kind of an exercise left up to you, but that's pretty easy. And then just okay. And so now I've got the address in there. So just working from the default is probably the best way to go, instead of just trying to blow all these things out. Because another thing you could do is, if you don't like these in here, you can just hit this X and it will take these out. I don't want to do it because I actually like what's here. So I'm not going to hit the X and delete anything. One thing we probably do want to do is change this. So do a little housekeeping. So this is just for you. So, you put the address in there. So point number seems kind of confusing. And then it changed it up here. And then we got point elevation, which is the middle one. And so we're just going to go ahead and mess with that one. So once again, we'll just highlight it, come over here, and then we can call this one I think it was pedestal. The order really doesn't matter that much. And then hit the arrow, that brings it over, and then we're done. And then we see feed pedestal. And then the third one that we have is point description. And so, I know one thing. Change this name. Why is that? Elevation, point description. So this one was going to be the so we had pedestal. I think it was area, and then we'll come over here and we'll just say this, and we'll find area. And first we got to get rid of this, or it'll have that information next to it, which we don't want. And then we'll hit OK. And right there. Come over here, area, hit that, close it up. Okay, good. So this is good because the spacing can be a pain in the butt if you can use an out of the box that's set to do spacing, but this is almost kind of its own little mini video in itself of how to get everything. It has to do with anchoring. So this feed pedestal one is so it's the anchor, the feature. It's not letting me change the name, and I think it might have something to do with the fact because it's the feature, an anchor. So it's the middle one, and it anchor. So and then these two anchor off of that, and then you got to get the positions right and everything. But if they've already set up an AutoCAD default for you, then you're good to go. So that looks good for that. So that's how you do it. But what I'm going to show you is how we can kind of cheat. So I have this already set up, and at some point you're going to make your own on a drawing, and then you're going to want to create another drawing, and you're not going to want to redo this again. You're just going to want to take what you already have. So you can work, if you're working in master view, so you have a couple, in master view, it gives you access to all of the drawings. So if I were to be in master view and then have this drawing open, so this is the drawing that we want to bring the label over to, but we'll open up our master view. So this is actually looking at what we were looking at in the so we're in, so you can see so I've closed everything up, makes it a little bit easier. So we're in drawing 2, but we want to pull out the information that was in the videos drawing. So what we'll do is we're in points, and then we want to label styles, and then remember this is what we were using. This has got everything all perfectly formatted and everything. So we just take this, you gotta kind of grab it and drag it. So it looks like that, but if we get over here and just drag it, and then it's there, and so now it's available to you if you come over and close the points video and you come over and look in the drawing, the one that we're working on right now. Come over to point label styles, and it's right there. So we now have access to that. So if we were to come up here, select everything, and then come over to style and find that FTTH subscriber, there you go. And now we've told every one of those 138 points to use that label style that we already created. And now, see that? The labels are all there nice and pretty. And I don't know why it's not bringing in the attribute information. Okay, well, doing a little deep dive into here, it looks like, so I got the addresses in without it much problem. So apparently, which I didn't know, or maybe I'm doing something slightly wrong, is that it didn't like the, so we called this region, instead of, so this is area, it didn't like this. So and so see how we grabbed this one. So we have our another. This is the area that we created for this one. So somehow it was getting confused on the area. I don't really know what was going on there, but as soon as you change it and apply it, then it's fine with it. So I'm guessing it didn't like because I had shown you how to do it one way. Something didn't work quite right. It's but you can still get in here and change it. But I don't know if you'll have that problem when you're doing it. But anyways, so this one, for instance, it was region on the other one, and we had called it area or something like that. I'd say just get rid of region by hitting this, so that now you can see hitting that gets rid of it. Now just say you want to create a new one, and we're gonna have to remember. So this is the part where I was telling you about where the label gets kind of funky. So let's call this one area, and then the anchor is gonna be a pedestal, and then it was bottom left, okay, and the attachment is top left. Alright, so that gets that straightened out, gets it back in the right order. And then we gotta come over here and say label text. And then this one, we're just gonna say that this was the area that we were dealing with. So we'll just say area, and hopefully it's the right one. Because there's area, and then there is this one, which was area 1. I feel like this area 01 was the one that had the operation. I guess I won't know until we get, we'll have to try. How's that? Okay. So, okay. And no, I didn't grab that right one. So, maybe if what we want to do is for one where it says area, over here, and grab this area. There it goes. So we got it that time. I don't think you'll have that problem. I don't know what was going on there that was making that, but so now we've pretty much got things loaded in the way that this is where we wanted to be at the end of the video. So hopefully you found that exciting and helpful, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.